Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so sorry that it's been a couple weeks since the video's gone up. I've been really busy, but I'm finally making one now, and so here it is. If you haven't noticed, I moved. Yeah, this is my new room, so that might or may not have something to do with why it took so long for the video to go up, but it's going up now. So today I'm going to talk about what it's like to move to a new city, and I'm going to talk about my experience in moving from Michigan all the way to Southern California. Currently I'm in San Diego, and I moved here a couple months ago, so I'm just going to explain what that process was like. I'm going to give you some advice if you want to take it, and I'll just explain how it all came about. So basically, while I was in college, I was applying for tons and tons of jobs. I applied for like over 300 jobs because I really wanted to get a job straight out of college because I want to pay off my loans, and I needed to just get a job and have it all set and figured out. So I applied to tons, hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And I was applying everywhere, outside the country, inside the country, near home, far from home, everything. And I got a call from one of them, or I got an email, and they asked for an interview, and I did a phone interview, and then they offered to fly me out here for another interview, and so I said yes, and they brought me out here, put me in a hotel, which was so nice of them. I really liked them, it was really great, and then a few weeks later I got a job, and I was going to start 2 weeks after graduating, so I had 2 weeks to move I had to move out of college, graduate, move out of college, go home to Michigan, then drive to California and move into an apartment. So that was cutting it close, but that's what I wanted. I had actually requested that date, and that's what happened. After graduation, I went straight home that same day, packed everything that whole week, did some planning, packed up the car, and I had like a month after I found out that I had the job to find an apartment, so I found one through Facebook, which is kind of weird, but I took over someone's lease. I looked at a bunch of different places, I found one that I really liked, and then I got to know my roommate, also got to know her through Facebook. This all sounds incredibly sketchy, but if you know anything about me, I'm not the type of person that does things through the internet. I don't meet people through the internet, I don't do any of that stuff, I don't do Tinder, I don't do any of that crap. I'm like scared to use Uber, but I like Skyped people, made sure they were all normal, made sure I wasn't going to be rooming with like a serial killer, and I wasn't. She was great. Like, we became really good friends. And then it took us a week. It was me and my dad, and we drove from Michigan in my 2001 Honda, which is a great car. We drove from Michigan to California. We overnighted in Illinois and other states. I can't remember. We drove through a bunch of states. I think we overnighted in Nebraska. I'm not sure. We overnighted in Colorado, and then we overnighted in California, and we were just driving every single day the entire time. We drove through the north. I was really scared that we were going to go through areas where there was no gas stop, because every video that I'd watched, because I researched a lot before I came, every video they were like, I thought I was going to run out of gas when we got to Arizona, and so I was terrified. But that didn't happen because we went through the north, through the Utah and all that, and so we didn't have any trouble not finding gas. We did fill up gas a lot just in case, but we never really had trouble. There was a patch, I can't remember where, it might have been in Iowa, where like for hundreds of miles there were no gas stations, but your car can go quite far with no gas station, so we weren't really that worried, and we were fine, and we made it through, and we didn't have to stop or anything. I was also scared the car was gonna overheat, because I'd also heard about that in videos, but it didn't. Also, it was May, so it wasn't that hot out. We drove a lot, left every morning at around 7, arrived in the evening. Every day we stayed at Airbnbs, we stayed at other type of places, cheap places, and we finally got to California, and I moved into my apartment with my dad, and then he flew out the next day. Moving to a different state was incredibly terrifying. Moving anywhere is terrifying. It doesn't matter if it's a different country, a different city, it doesn't matter. I've lived in 4 different continents throughout the world, 5 different countries, and it's always scary because you don't know, it's not your normal, it's not your comfort zone. You don't know where stuff is, you don't know what's normal, you don't know the rules, you don't know the traffic rules. It's terrifying. And it was terrifying because I don't know what areas were safe, what was a good Target to go to, what was a bad Target. I didn't know what were the good areas, but the people at my job were really nice, and I constantly was asking questions. You gotta forget embarrassment and just constantly ask them, hey, where can I get my oil changed? Where do you get your oil changed? Where do you go shopping? Where do you not go shopping? What areas do you avoid? And also trust your conscience. If you feel like you're in an unsafe area, don't be like, oh, I'm probably just scared. You should definitely listen to your conscience. And if you just feel unsafe, try and get out of that neighborhood. Don't even get out of the car, because that could be terrifying. So moving here was a big risk. Moving anywhere, again, is a big risk. And I didn't have any friends, and I didn't really know the area or know anything to do. So I'm gonna give you some advice that I learned. Obviously, I'm not a professional, I'm still new here. I've only been here for a couple months, but I'm gonna give you some advice on how you can move to a new city and make the most of it, especially when you have no friends. First of all, I made a budget on Excel, and I put in the amount of money that I thought everything was gonna cost so I could know exactly how much I was gonna have to pay for everything. And I did it, and I always overestimate. That's what you do. Don't ever underestimate, because it's better for you to have extra than to have little. And then I made sure I had enough, and I planned it all so that nothing could go wrong, and nothing major went wrong, so that was good. So I would definitely advise you to plan. I have 7 advice tips that if you want to take, they will help you, or they've helped me to fit in more in this new city that is my home now. And if you want to listen to it, you should, and if you don't, that's fine. Number 1, the first thing I learned is to say yes to everything. When your coworkers are hanging out at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and you don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. to get ready and drive to wherever you're going, and you would rather sleep because you were traveling all the week before, and you just don't want to do anything, force yourself to go. You're trying to make friends, you're trying to explore the area. Say yes. If people are inviting you to go somewhere and you're trying to budget and you're not trying to spend that much money, but they invited you, just go. Buy something cheap. You don't have to be super expensive, but go. Even if you really don't want to, force yourself to put in that effort to make friends and to explore the area and learn new things, try new things. Because if you say no to everything, then you might end up regretting it. You probably will. What are you gonna do? You didn't move all across the world or across the country or across the state to just not do anything and sit in your apartment. So if people invite you to do stuff, say yes. Unless it's something you feel morally uncomfortable with, then obviously say no. Participate in everything. Everything, even if you're an introvert and you don't, I'm not an introvert, I don't know why I did this, but even if you're an introvert and you do not want to participate, try and force yourself to participate so that you get to know new people. If you're all alone and you're going to an event and you don't have any friends, you don't want to go alone, just go, just do it. Participate, talk to people, force yourself to talk to people. Put in the extra effort, because you need to take advantage of every moment you can. And if you're alone in a city, you want to make friends. So I'm going to say participate to everything that you feel comfortable with. And by comfortable, I don't mean like it's inside your comfort zone. I mean like morally comfortable. But like even if it's outside your comfort zone, push yourself and do it. Go out and talk to people. Go to events, even if you're going all by yourself. Explore. If you really want to do something, if you really want to go somewhere and you don't have friends and you don't know how you're going to go there, go by yourself. Like, go do it. Go explore. Go to different places. Go to different stores, different areas, different malls. Just explore the city you live in, and then you can learn where you can go if you need something. Like, just drive around. You don't even have to get out of your car. I would recommend getting out of your car, but technically you don't have to. Just drive around places, make notes of places, maybe even drop pins on your phone so that you can remember the area that you live in. And then if anyone comes to visit, or if you have a friend that wants to hang out, you can be like, oh, we can go here because I saw this. So just explore. Get out of your apartment and explore. Have a positive outlook. When you move somewhere, it's obviously not going to be familiar to you, especially if it's a new place. So you might be really negative and be like, oh my gosh, people here are so much ruder than somewhere else, which is true if you move to California. People here can be really rude, especially on the road, and they can't drive, so I don't know why they're so rude. Like, I'm like, you cannot drive, you do not have the reason to be this rude. Lawnmower. Okay. Just have a positive outlook. When I first moved here, I was like, oh my gosh, the streets are kind of dirty. There's a lot of trash on the road. Like the paint on the cement is peeling. There's a lot of potholes. I was like, oh, it's not that great. And if you get into that negative mentality, it's just gonna ruin everything for you. I think you have to be positive and look at the bright side. There's a lot of things that are better about Michigan when you compare it to San Diego and Southern California in general. There are lots of things I prefer about Michigan, but there are also a lot of good things about San Diego that are better than your hometown could be. So everywhere you go, if you just get into that negative cycle, it's just gonna ruin things. I feel like I did that every country I moved to, every different continent. I would always focus on the negative and be like, this is different and I'm used to this and I like this, and the other place they had this and they don't have that here. But I think you have to stay positive and look at the good things, or else it's just gonna ruin things for you. I think take risks. Definitely you should do things that you don't feel comfortable, because you're never gonna push yourself out of your comfort zone. I know I already talked about that, but you're never gonna accomplish everything you can accomplish and live to the best that you can if you don't take risks. You can't be comfortable your entire life. You have to go out and push yourself and do things you're not familiar with, and things that normally you'd be too terrified to do, because that's how you grow. That's how you become a stronger person, stronger character. Take risks, do stuff you've never done before. Try new food, try new, I don't know what else, but take risks. Move, challenge yourself, because that's how you're gonna grow as a person. Number 6. Learn to do things alone. I'm sorry I haven't been listing steps, but this is number 6. I think when you move to a new city and you don't know anyone, you should learn to do things all by yourself. And I've had to learn this in multiple places. I've gone to so many events all by myself, and before, when I arrive, I'd get that like fear where I'm like, I don't want to walk in all by myself. Like when I go to church, I've gone to multiple different churches, and I don't want to go in all by myself because there's so many people and it's terrifying. And you don't know where to go, what to do. You have to force yourself to do things alone. I've gone to the movie theater all by myself because I really wanted to watch a movie, but I didn't have anyone to go with. You just learn to do things alone. You don't have to rely on someone the whole time. When I was in Europe, and if people didn't want to do stuff with me, go out and do it all by yourself. Don't always rely on someone. Don't try and force someone to do something with you. Go out and do things alone. Unless it's super dangerous, obviously. Aeroplane. Gosh. People are busy today. Maybe it's a helicopter. So learn to do things alone. Do not rely on people. If you really want to go to some cheese shop, go to that cheese shop all by yourself. Who cares if no one wants to go? Learn to walk the streets all by yourself. Go to the movies all alone. Go to concerts all alone. Do things alone. Not because you're like sad or depressed, but because you're strong enough to do things alone. You don't have to rely on someone. Learn to do things alone, because that will boost your confidence every time you step out there. Even though you're terrified, if you brave it, you'll become stronger and stronger every time. Last thing I would advise you to do, 7, is to make a list. Make a list of things you want to do in your city and go out and actually do them. Because you can always think in your mind, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then you never end up doing it. Make a list, and then maybe every weekend or every day, if you have that much time, go out and do it. Like, I'm in San Diego and I really wanted to go to La Jolla, which is a city on a beach, and so we went. And then another time I wanted to go to Coronado Island, which is another island on the beach, obviously, and we went. There's tons of things I still haven't done, but I have a list and I have it written down and I want to do it. Go out and actually do the things. If you're sitting around on your computer and you're like, I don't know what to do today, go out and do things on your list. Make an actual list, and it can be random things like try ice cream on this street or go to a cat cafe, whatever. Make it actual things, like plausible things that you can do, and go out and do it. Like, you gotta brave yourself. You gotta make yourself brave. You gotta get through the fear and just do it. So that is my advice to anyone who is moving to a different city. I have moved a lot in my life, and obviously I'm not a professional at moving, but these tips have helped me, and I hope that they help you too. And I'm just gonna tell you to always be brave and always believe in yourself, even though it can be hard sometimes. Force yourself to do stuff that you might not feel comfortable with. Be like, no, I can do this, even if everything inside you is screaming, I can't do this, I'm too scared. Ignore it and put one foot in front of the other and conquer your dreams. Get it? Like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.